Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for today's Mink Wahine Leadership Series event, Holding the Door Open, Women Helping Women Succeed. We're very excited to hear from some of Hawaii's top women leaders on how they are working to support and uplift the women in their organizations through these difficult times. If you have any questions during today's program, please be sure to enter your questions into the chat area. We'll be hosting a short Q&A session after today's program. Also, for those that are attending, we will be recording today's event. So please be sure to look out for an email from the MCBL team with a link to the recording. Now, before we begin, I would like to introduce all of you to MCBL's director, Colleen McAlooney, to say a few words. Colleen?
Thank you, Brittany. Aloha, and welcome to all of you for attending today's Wahine Leadership Series webinar. Thank you to our VIP sponsors and today's attendees for your continued support of this program. As the only women's business center in Hawaii, the Patsy T. Mink Center for Business and Leadership is proud to support our local women leaders in their personal and professional growth and development. As many of us are finding our place in the new normal and learning to navigate these unprecedented times, the MCBL team wants to provide you with relevant tools and takeaways to support your current challenges. I'm grateful to both Michelle and Shelley for being here to share their wisdom. Now, I'd like to introduce the rest of the MCBL team. It is my daily pleasure to work with Program Manager Brittany Montiliano and Program Coordinator Maylin Zambrano. Thank you so much to both of you for your expertise in creating today's event.
Thank you, Colleen. And also wanted to let everyone know that Maylin will be assisting with any technical issues that arise during today's program. If you experience any issues, please please message Maylin. Maylin will be putting her information into the chat area for your reference. Now I'd like to introduce you to our moderator for today, Caroline Carl. Caroline is the Deputy Director for Hawaii Energy. We are very lucky to have her assisting us today as moderator. She is also an alumni of the Patsy T. Mink Leadership Alliance program. Caroline?
Thanks so much, Brittany. Can you hear me okay? All right, good. Well, hi, everyone. It's so good to see you today. I am so grateful to the Mink leadership group and for the opportunity to be here with our esteemed panelists to have such an important discussion about keeping the door open. You know, one of the things that I've enjoyed about preparing this is not only getting to know these absolutely wonderful women better in the last few weeks, but just taking the time to reflect. I think as women, as parents, as everything we are right now in this COVID time, which is just so uncertain, it's really hard to carve that out and to really think about what you value and what you really appreciate in people every day. And so it has been my pleasure to really dig in on this. And I hope, you know, before I introduce them, I just wanted to share that I've been so impressed with what I've learned about our panelists in the way that they have led through change, how they've led through hard seasons, and they've continued to grow in their careers and lift other people up. So I hope no matter where you are in your career, whether you're starting out or you're retired or somewhere in that big spectrum in the middle, that today you really gain something meaningful, something that provides you insight, because we really do have so much to learn from one another, and it's opportunities like this, even virtually, that we can really lift each other up. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, Shelley Kimura. Shelley is responsible, she is the Senior Vice President of Customer Service at Hawaiian Electric, and she's responsible for a lot of things. Customer service operations, this includes customer relations, meter reading, field services, revenue management, and customer solutions. She also oversees the strategy, policy, operations, and programs for customer-sited energy resources, which is a critical part of Hawaiian Electric strategies to reach 100% renewables by 2045. Such an important mission. Shelley previously served as Senior Vice President of the Business Development and Strategic Planning, overseeing the areas of business development, corporate strategy, renewable generation procurement and contracts, demand response, and electrification of transportation. She provided leadership for the development of Hawaiian Electric's strategic transformation plan, co-led its transformation program, and led several of its strategic initiatives to create more options for customers, integrate more renewables, and create new markets. So thank you so much for being here, Shelley. And Michelle Saito. Michelle is the president and chief executive officer of Dietrich Insurance Company Limited, the fourth largest commercial lines insurance company here in Hawaii. Since joining Dietrich in 2005, Michelle has improved the company's profitability, launched new products, and taken the telematics-driven initiatives to prepare the company to compete in the digital era. Michelle has nearly 30 years of experience in the insurance industry. She joined Farmers Insurance Hawaii, formerly AIG Hawaii, as an accounting manager in 1984 and has since rose through the ranks, managing various departments and was eventually named Chief Operating Officer and later President of Farmers Insurance Hawaii. Michelle's accomplishments include improving operational efficiency, providing leadership through the AIG crisis in 2008, and leading the company through its purchase by Farmers Insurance, all while restoring the confidence of over 300 employees and building public trust for Farmers Insurance in Hawaii. So thank you both for being here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I was going to add, and nailing a pandemic to both of your bios, but I guess we'll have to wait a couple months and then we can add that in for, for all of us.
That's the goal.
No, that is absolutely the goal. So it has been an incredibly challenging 6 months and even more for many. And so for me, I have 2 little kids, little girls at home, and both my husband and I are working. And so there's no normal anymore. Like I had to steal his office. I'm hiding people in the closet so no one comes out. Like this is our lives. And so when this all started, I really thought about like, what is going to be my mantra or my guiding principle? And since then, I've been saying to myself, stay steady. Like Caroline, just stay steady. So when I found Play-Doh in the dryer last week, I said, stay steady, Caroline. Stay steady. And it's, it's really helped. I've lost it a few times, so I'm kind of steady often. But I wanted to ask you, like, have you had a mantra or guiding principle that has helped you, stay steady through this? Michelle, why don't you share?
Sure. I think for me, it's more of a guiding principle. And I think especially with COVID, it's been just taking care of people. And that's my own company. And also I'm currently the chair of the Hawaii Business Roundtable. So it's kind of enlarged my world. It's not so much just my company, but also trying to do the right thing on behalf of all the businesses, as well as the people of Hawaii. I think COVID has just really forced leaders to find the proper balance between business and taking care of the well-being of our community. And so that's been tricky. As they say, there's no right answers. And I do strongly believe when you don't take care of one or the other, in the end, we're all going to pay for that. So it's been a challenge. It's been a lot of learn for me. Trying to find that balance, and especially grateful to all the leaders that are working on this.
Yeah. Shelley, what about you?
So I want to share a quick funny story because of your story. Right before this call, my daughter wanted to make a smoothie. And so she came in and she asked, are you on a call? Can I make a smoothie? Because it's really loud. And so I said, okay, do it now because I'm getting on a call. And so she's making her smoothie and she's asking me, do you want to taste it? So I went out into the kitchen and I said, yeah, I want to taste it. So she's walking back towards me. She trips. This bowl of like mushed up strawberries and mangoes and ice flies everywhere. It's on my ceiling right now. It's like on the bottom of my shirt. You can't see it right now. But like you said, that's like we live right now, right? So anyway, hopefully she's cleaning it up. In terms of my mantra, you know, when the pandemic started, there was a lot of uncertainty, as we all recall, right, back in March. Nobody really knew what we were dealing with. And we had to make some really tough decisions. And, you know, I'm responsible for 300 employees in our company. And the thought is, how do we keep them safe? What do we do? How are we going to go about our operations? And so, and same thing for our customers, right? And so for me, the mantra has been do the right thing, do what's pono, and always coming back to that, because there's always tough decisions that we're going to have to make. But if you come back to that, then the decisions get a lot easier. It's no longer business as usual. So you can't depend on all the old formulas of making decisions that we had, or the standard operating procedures or things like that. So, you know, what does that mean? I always think of it as acting as if your children are watching. So always carrying yourself in a way and making decisions as if your children are watching, and always put yourself in other people's shoes. My dad always used to tell me, don't look at what people do, but look at why they do it. And if you go back to the why, then you can really address the issue. Otherwise, you're just dealing with symptoms.
It totally resonates, and it gives me like chicken skin, because when the way that you're both responsible for over 300 people and the way you just both describe it, it's not just your team members, your work colleagues. These are your more so than ever your family, right? Like they're the family you have to take care of, and we're all, so now we have our our big extended family in these crazy circumstances. Has anything in this, really surprised you about, where this you're guiding your mantra? I think, Michelle, you made a really interesting comment about the strength that you found in, this new networking world. I'd love to talk more about that.
Sure. Well, I will say probably the grounding does come, for me anyway, the people around me. I think from my team, actually my family has been really great. My board has been great, just supporting me. It just kind of lets me bounce off ideas, and, especially during COVID, everything is so uncertain, right? And everything's changing rapidly. So just to be able to have that network to support me has been really fascinating. And Caroline, I'll get more into that maybe in another question about that. I think what you're probably interested in.
Yeah, no, totally. I just loved that story you should share. So I know we have lots more to discuss. Any big surprises for you, Shelley, that from this, just the do what's right? Has anything come up that you're like, wow, I didn't expect that, or anything?
Well, I think it's more how everyone has really come together and stepped up, and how quickly our company was able to, and our team was able to shift and mobilize in this new operational world that we're in. Things that probably would have taken years to analyze and decide and then actually make happened, almost overnight. And so it's just amazing how when people see the tangible need and the urgency, how quickly things can happen. And it's been pretty amazing to see that.
Yeah, and oh yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Oh yeah, and the other thing too, to add is I just wanted to kind of share with folks too that we should really be open and willing to share with others. Even at the expense of looking not so bright, which I do quite often. But, just to do that, because, we're in such uncertain times, and I just think it makes us have better decisions if we're just really being open with people and honest with people, and just trying to find the best decisions going forward. And that's where I love that support and that network, having them around me, because I don't know everything, right? And those are the best people to give me the best advice. So anyway, sorry.
No, that's exactly where we were going. And I just love this conversation because it really is so fluid around what is grounding you versus what, we're all having to adjust, like you said, Shelley, like communicating, managing, engaging in new ways. And so I'd love to hear more, and everyone had to do it so fast. So like, I'd love to hear more about, Shelley, if you want to share a bit more about what has worked best for you or your organization in these navigating these changes, like are there certain tactical things that have really worked, and because, and similarly, and I think this is where we're going, just like what didn't you expect?
Yeah, so I think you always read, right, that a mission-driven organization is a high-performing organization. And I think in a case like COVID, the mission becomes much more acute and apparent to everybody to rally around. And so the change management part of change, while still challenging, in some ways is a little easier because everybody can clearly see what's going on around them, on what the need is to change. And it's also for everyone's own safety and the safety of their coworkers, our customers, and our communities, actually, to make sure we're not spreading the virus. So it's really a call to the mission of the organization. We're about keeping the lights on. We're about making sure that people have this essential service when they're all at home. They're now working from home, going to school from home, and their livelihoods depend on having reliable electricity. So when people recognize that we're still an essential service, but we also want to keep everybody safe. Now, how are we going to do that? I think people just went into action and made it happen. On the communication part, everybody pretty much overnight started working from home. And that was a huge undertaking, right? Get everybody laptops, make sure we have the bandwidth on our VPN. So we had to switch over our VPN to make sure everybody could be working at the same time. We got our call center working from home, which is a huge undertaking. And for a long time, we said, well, it really can't be done. There's all these challenges, but it happened in, a couple weeks. And now that many of us are virtual, we still have many people in the field, right? Our dedicated employees in the field, but those of us that are working from home, I think the virtual workplace is surprisingly, for me, from what I can see, is working well. These kind of video meetings are working well. Teams are staying connected. I think it's harder to stay connected with a bigger group of people, but so long as we use our networks, if I'm staying close to my team, then my team is staying close with their team, and I'm working well with our executive team, and all of those networks are working along with our stakeholders, then the whole system works together. And we were talking about IMing and all of that starts to come into play. I've got my phone here with text, I've got IMs popping up, I've got emails, it all comes into play, and kind of in your mind, you have to stay focused. And maybe all of us are struggling with that. But that's the part that surprised me, how well it could work and how quickly we changed in that paradigm. And not just us, but all the companies we work with.
I keep thinking of the electric grid.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
Michelle, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I think the one thing that really stands out during this period of time, I feel like we're getting a lot of echoing, but I think the one thing that's really surprised me a little bit, but it's really helping me to navigate through this change, is I have this strong value to be honest and transparent with people. And I will tell you, it has not always worked well in my favor. Sometimes people say I'm just a little bit too honest and transparent. That makes people feel comfortable, and it's gotten me in trouble. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. But during COVID, it has just been an incredible asset for me, as I've been working with my own people in my company as well as people outside. You know, and I'll give you a couple of examples. I'll be honest and transparent with you on one of them. This past weekend, I got a dreaded call from my operations, and she said, Michelle, we just got notified that one of our employees tested positive. And I can't tell you, gang, how hard that my team and I tried to protect the work environment so we wouldn't have a positive case that showed up. And my immediate response was to let people know, without, of course, releasing the identity of the person, but to let them know where it was, what the situation was, and to really have that dialogue with the employees of letting them know that it's happened and this is what we're doing about it. I will tell you, people were super, super nervous. And we were super nervous that we were going to create a cluster. But I will say people were very calm because I was very open. I was very transparent in the situation. It's now been, we're moving on to the 1 week mark, and this person is still the only person that has tested positive in our workplace. So we're really grateful for that. The other area that I think honesty and transparency has really worked for me is as chair, you know, of the roundtable. I have been meeting and working with a lot of new people. What I found is by being honest and transparent with them, it's helped me to build rapport with these people because you know, during these times, we don't have a whole lot of time. Everything's just moving and changing so rapidly. I mean, you can have one decision today and then COVID will do something totally unexpected and that decision will change. And so really, you have to have rapport with the people. The people got to trust you when you're working with them. And so I found that this little asset that sometimes was a little bit of a hindrance to me was really working very well. I think people knew I was very honest and forthright. And so that created a lot of trust with these people. And I've realized that when people trust, you can get quicker consensus. They're not so quick to try to figure out what your hidden agenda is and, you know, dance around decision making. And so I've been pleasantly surprised how that particular part of me has really worked to my benefit. And, you know, I think I'm going to take it out of COVID and just keep doing it because it's just kind of instilled in me, you know, how people really, really appreciate, especially people that you don't know well. And when you're in a crisis, people really appreciate honesty and transparency and forthrightness. And it just builds incredible trust for us to work together to solve the bigger problems, you know, that really matter to our community. So thank you.
Yeah,
I just want to chime in that I think, Michelle, that is such an important point because that is really the foundation, right, of everything else. And people talk about how change happens at the speed of trust. There's probably, I think there's a book written about that. And I think that's really true. And even though the truth hurts in the beginning, over the long run, it actually benefits everybody, including, you know, your own credibility and ability to get stuff done, right?
Yeah, and I will say it's scary sometimes, right? Because when you are being honest and you are being transparent, you're a little vulnerable, right? You're kind of showing people a little bit of that weakness that you have. In fact, a lot of the weakness, you know, and but I think that's important for people to feel that you're human and you're just like them. And so it just makes you more believable, more trust. So I just think it's, like I said, it has its downside. So don't get me wrong. I mean, you have to be a little bit aware of that. I've been sometimes little too honest and transparent for my sake. But you know, in the end, I'm still a big believer of it, and especially so during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, what you just shared, I think not only was it the honesty and transparency for both of the scenarios, but the consistency in and commitment to action. You know, like just you know, it's not just saying like this. It's we're moving, just like you're letting the team know everyone's scared, we're all vulnerable, but we're doing the right thing. Like your why is your team, and I just think that is incredibly powerful. No matter where you are in your career, because you can lead at any position, you can lead anywhere you are, and sticking, you know, with that, knowing that if it may hurt and it may be purposeful discomfort in the sense that you're not comfortable delivering it, but at the end the message, that means you care, you know, you're doing it from a place of this is really important. And you know, I recently heard some iteration of this quote. I had to look it up, but it's by an author, James Lane Allen, and it goes something of this sort, that adversity does not build character, it reveals it. And so it really like rings true, I think, especially in where we are right now, because change is challenging, but it helps us grow. Like you were sharing, Michelle, about how we're coming out of this with a lot of this new mentality. So I'd love to, you know, if you have any examples, how women in your organizations have adapted to be more resilient and lead in whatever position they're in during this time.
Okay. Carol, I'm sorry. Who do you want to go first?
Let's have Shelley go. How about
that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think from where I sit, you know, we're on video calls and I'm seeing a lot of women juggling a lot of different roles. You're seeing children come in and out of the screen. You're hearing, you know, crying in the background, people needing to step away to, you know, deal with a dog or whatever it is. And I'm having conversations with people who are dealing with elderly parents. I mean, everybody's wearing a lot of different hats right now. And to see that actually for me is very inspiring. And, you know, I remember my kids are older now. So my youngest one is 13. But I remember going through those periods. And while you're going through it, it seems overwhelming. But as I look back on it and I see other people going through it, it's actually quite empowering to think all these women are going through all of this and dealing with all of this and juggling with all of this. I think it's actually empowering for others to see it as well. I don't know that the people actually going through it feel that way, but I think it's helpful for them to know that it's recognized and appreciated. And I think it allows everybody to see people in their personal space, right? It's almost like you're being invited into someone's home or visiting them in their home, and you feel like you know them a little bit more as a person. And it's really important in these times for us to think about not just the employee. This is true always, but especially now, not just the employee, but the entire person and how they're doing. Because a lot of people are going through anxiety right now, and dealing with not just your work stresses, but just, are we going to be healthy? Are we going to be safe? Is my husband going to lose his job? I mean, everyone's going through that social unrest. I myself, you know, I was telling my team, I myself wake up in the middle of the night feeling kind of anxious, and it's not about work. It's about all the things that I can't control and wondering what the future is going to bring just for humanity, you know? And so recognizing and appreciating that everybody's probably going through some form of something that's adding that extra stress in their lives. On top of that, I see women in our organization really stepping up. As I talked about, you know, we are all seeing what the needs are in the community. And I think that everybody, but particularly women, when they see other people in need, it emboldens them. And oftentimes women won't speak up for themselves or advocate for themselves, but when it's about someone else, then they're willing to put themselves out there. And I love seeing that. I love seeing our women taking more of a leadership role in the many different initiatives we have going on right now. So again, it just inspires me to see that happening.
Totally. Yeah. I just wanted to just remark, because I think that empathy around, you know, and it brings you together a bit of like, we're all waking up, or many of us just like, I don't even know what's going on, and sharing in that. And then just like, but if you see a colleague, I mean, for me, if I see someone, you know, having a rough day, I'm the first one that wants to be like, I got you, like, I'm going to cover you today because I know you had me yesterday, or, you know, and that just really, it's like an unspoken like trust, even though as you said, like you're in my house, like you see my kid with no pants on running around, like there is just things you can't protect from. But Michelle, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. So I don't want you guys to, I'm not going to talk about the wonderful women in my organization. I will tell you, I have an incredible team, a lot of wonderful women that prop me up and support me, and don't know if I could do my job without them. But I think what I want to take this time is to maybe talk about a different group of people that I work with that I feel are so unheralded, and sometimes I think they are just getting the raw end of the deal. And so I think I want to talk about them. And I've just had a lot of opportunity to work with the governor's office and, you know, other government leaders, but specifically with the governor's office on issues that affect our entire state. And just to kind of see the inner workings and how how they get things done for all of us. The one thing that's really pained me is just kind of unfortunate how so much of their work is not really acknowledged, and they're not given the proper credit for what they're doing. And I'll start with the governor. I know he's not a woman, but give me some time. I'll kind of trace my lines here. I want to start with the governor. I mean, that poor man gets such a raw deal. But I will tell you, I've seen him work. I do. I have a lot of admiration for him. He is very collaborative. He listens to others. He doesn't have a political agenda. He's not running for another office. And he absolutely puts the people of Hawaii first. And now I will tell you, because of the style that he has, I feel it permeates throughout the office. And I do feel that a lot of these qualities are qualities that women leaders are used to. You know, we actually prefer to work in this manner, to be collaborative, to listen, to do the right things. And what he's really done is created an environment for women, I think, to thrive. And I've worked, you know, because of this presentation, I thought about who I was working with. And I will tell you, I've been working with so many incredible women leaders in his office. And it's amazing to see their passion. I mean, they're not even doing the jobs that they got hired for. They're doing and thinking about initiatives that are outside of their realm, but that will help all of us, you know, and the people that need the most help. And it's incredible. And I'll give you very specific examples. So the HBR, we were trying to, one of my members, just really persistent and passionate, wanted to create an initiative to do job creation, you know, because there's so many unemployed, and thought that we could get those people put to work to do something really good for the state. But of course he needed money. And he was pounding the pavement very heavily trying to get funding for it. And so there was a woman in the governor's office that really just put herself behind it and said, I'm going to work and I'm going to help you see if you can get funding. And it took a long time, I will tell you, months. And he was really frustrated. But with her help, they were able to get the program funded with CARES Fund. And so that was really exciting for us. There's another woman that I recently am working with, and I'm going to do a plug for her. She came up with a rent subsidy program for unemployed people, and they just rolled it out. I don't know exactly when, but it's been rolled out. So I want to tell all of you people, if you know people that need help with their rents that are currently unemployed, this is a great program. But again, a lot of passion from their side to put these things together for our state. And the last person that I want to do a shout out is to the governor's chief of staff. She's a woman, and she's been remarkable in terms of opening up communication channels with the governor's office and other organizations, especially with business. And really, that's just kind of help us so we don't sit there wondering, you know, what they're thinking and what they're doing. And it just helps us to understand what their challenges are and how they're very focused in trying to do the right thing for the state. So those are just a handful example driven by women, since we're talking about this. So don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great men also doing wonderful things in that office. But since this program is about women, I thought I'd talk about those. But the last thing that I want to say about this, and it's just kind of to make all of us as women feel good about our role in business, especially. I think there is this growing momentum and evidence, actually. There's actually a lot of evidence that shows that when you have women running companies or being on boards, that the company just happens to perform better. And so you do hear a lot about, you know, the shareholders are pushing boards and holding them to diversity accounts about getting, you know, more women to sit on boards. So I want to tell you, it's not just about getting our gender to have equal representation on boards. We actually produce better performing companies. At least that's what the evidence is showing. And that's probably why you're seeing this huge push by shareholders to have more of the, you know, females sitting on boards. So I just thought I'd share that with you. It's just, we're not just fulfilling a count, we're actually making a difference. And so I wanted to share that with the group.
Oh,
Can we
gosh.
stay on that topic since it's such an important point?
Yes.
For the
Yes.
group.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Misha, I think that's awesome. Because yes, I've read those statistics as well. And, you know, people often think being a woman is, but really it's not. It's a strength, and it brings an important aspect to a team and to leadership. And I think what Michelle just did was to recognize women leaders who may not otherwise be recognized because of style of leadership. And, you know, I think one of the things, maybe we'll talk about it later, I'm not sure, but what can we do to lift other women up is, as women, men too, but with this group here, recognizing good work that women are doing. When a woman is doing good work, recognize it, because they may not be touting it themselves, right? And raise it up to their boss or your boss or their peers, and have them be recognized for the good work that they're doing. And if you're in a leadership position, give people opportunities that they might not ask for, because, you know, studies show women ask for raises less often, ask for promotions less often. And it's something we as women can do to help each other get into those roles.
Yeah. And to add to your comments, you know, the other thing is to support our, you know, in how we also manage and lead, you know, because I do feel that women have a certain, or we have tendencies, you know, so I don't want to say all women, but a lot of us love to lead through collaboration and working a lot with others. But the problem with this leadership style, or at least, you know, I've been told it's a problem, is that it takes a little longer, you know, because when you're trying to do collaboration, when you're trying to do consensus consensus building, it takes a little longer, but I will tell you the decisions last very well, and they stand up to heavy scrutiny. But sometimes we get a little bit beaten up for taking too long, and so Shelley, to your point, we need to support ourselves, not only in giving each other props, but also in just supporting us in the styles that are comfortable to us, that makes us feel good, so we can get the kind of successes that we want, in the end.
I think what you both did right here was probably one of the most, meaningful sharing of wisdom, because it spanned actually like pretty much the rest of our discussion questions, because it is, I so appreciate when we talk about, viewing other women in the workplace and whatnot. I mean, Michelle, you went right to a place where it is really easy for people to judge and think about like all the things that are wrong and whatnot, and to recognize and raise up how much meaningful work and care and empathy is going into all this, and where you see it. I think it's a really important lesson for all of us, and it ties in exactly with what you said, Shelley, like making sure that we are identifying, pointing at, calling out, raising up all these things that our colleagues or other organizations are doing. So it's, it is critical, because it brings us all together, and it makes us all stronger ultimately. And I so appreciate that. And I know we're coming up pretty quickly on time here, so I was thinking, maybe along the same line of recognition and appreciation, everyone's burning the candle at both ends right now. And I know for me, my work love language is quality time. And so how do we show the needed appreciation and recognize a job well done in this time of being virtual? Has there been anything that you've experienced that in our organization? We've been doing fun like virtual pauhanas and calling out people for fun things, but have you had any good? I'd love here, maybe Michelle, if you could start anything that in how do we recognize each other when we're distant like we are now?
Yeah, and I will be perfectly honest with you. This is probably an area that I could do a lot better in. I do try really, really hard to make sure that I let my people know I appreciate them, especially when they do something above and beyond, which a lot of people have had during this crisis. But I think what I try to do more so than anything else is just to let the employees know that I care. That we are working really hard for them. From little things like doing work from home. I will tell you, our company has just the darnest oldest technology you can imagine. I think we got mice on wheels that are making our system run. We're trying to get a new system, by the way, approved. So when this pandemic happened, we just weren't ready to send people home, but we knew that it was really, really important to our employees, because they were scared. They were scared with the virus. They didn't want to be in the office, and we're an essential employee, an essential company. So we could actually technically keep all the people in the company, but I kind of knew that if we tried to do that, employees would not feel that we cared. So we worked our darndest to get them working at home. And they were great with us, because I was really honest with them up front. I just said, gang, we are not going to make this thing happen overnight. And you got to be patient. And we're going to do it in phases. We're going to start with the most high risk people, and we will get you working at home. And in a week, we had about 70 people working from home. Today, we have closer to 90. But I tell you, talk about stress in that 1 week. But, I think the people know that we cared. We try to do other small things like, remember when everybody was having a hard time finding masks? And so we have an insured that actually was manufacturing masks. So I called them and just begged them that they needed to give me some masks for my employees because, you know, a lot of us was still working in the office. And so they did, and I know the employees appreciated that. But you know, little things go a long way. But I think it just shows employees that we care, because so often, you know, they always will say management just doesn't care. All they care about is, you know, the business and the bottom line. But so, you know, we have to work really hard in letting people know that we care. So anyway.
That's great. Shelley?
I agree. I agree with all of that. I'll take the discussion in a slightly different direction. Just, you know, little things that we've done. So for my team, everyone has been working really hard, and like you said, burning the candles at both ends. And we would typically have a team retreat during this time, but of course we couldn't gather, right? So we had a virtual retreat over several weeks. We broke it up because it's too hard to spend 8 hours on a call, right? A virtual call or video call. And so we broke it up into 3-hour spans. And for 3 separate meetings, well, first I sent everybody those Action of Aloha cards. I don't know if anyone's seen them, but the Action of Aloha cards, it was put on by a company called DTL that my friend runs, and the proceeds went to Iolani Palace. So they're great little cards. It's like it's a deck of cards and little actions of aloha that you can do every day. So I sent that to my team as a thank you. And then we sent pizza for lunch or Zippy's bento breakfast, depending on the time of the meeting, just so that we could be together in a meal, because we can't do that anymore. So those are just little ways of showing my appreciation to my immediate team. And, you know, like Actions of Aloha, you share that with them, and the hope is that that is then being shared throughout the rest of the team.
That's awesome. We have quite a few questions from the group, and I do we have some time to get to these. And I do apologize. I'm going to have to step off right at 1 p.m., but Brittany will be available if our panelists are to kind of go through whatever we haven't quite reached. But I guess I'll start with, let's see. COVID magnified many of the difference in expectations put on women and men and families. What advice do you have for finding a balance and adjusting to those adjusting those expectations as they come up?
Shelley, you can go first.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I think part of it is communicating with those that are setting the expectations. You know, as I said, I'm seeing on calls women dealing with a lot of things. Sometimes people may not be seeing it or thinking about it. And so they're placing these expectations with the old context in mind and not fully appreciating the new context that people are in. And I think sometimes we think that people know and we just need to absorb it. But I think women and men shouldn't be afraid to say, hey, you know, this is my new situation. This is really tough for me. If you need to, you know, have a little bit more flexibility in your hours, or if you can't make a meeting because something's going on, speak up. And I think as leaders, we have to be talking to each other about this issue to have more empathy for what's going on in people's lives, and having a little bit more flexibility to recognize that. At the same time, people got to get their jobs done, right? I mean, we both have essential services we're providing, but I think we can have some flexibility in getting those jobs done more than we've had before.
Okay, I'll take a shot at this. And I do know that we're among friends and supporting each other. So I'm going to share something with you that, heavens forbid, if it gets out to my shareholder. But, you know, during this crisis, I actually feel that or I have probably put business secondary to the welfare of our people. You know, it's unprecedented times, and things like childcare, things about people feeling uncomfortable being in the office, just, you know, people who have spouses that have lost their jobs. So, you know, I've sort of kind of thrown all the rules out of the window and said, let's figure out how we support these people. And we try not to put a whole lot of pressure on them to still, you know, meet all of their work standards. I, as the president of the company, I just work really hard trying not to ask these questions, because I know it trickles down and it forces people to maybe not be as flexible with their people in terms of trying to accommodate their family situations. Because what I'm finding in the COVID is not just about the employee, it's really about their families, and trying to make sure that we take care of their families along with the employee. And so that's been a little bit tricky, you know, because it's not something that we ask them about. We do ask them about themselves, but we don't always ask them about their families. So we've been trying to be a little bit more sensitive in those areas. I think that's something that we've tried to do. Whether we can continue to do this, you know, going forward, I think that's going to be a question that we're going to have to answer as a management team here at my company. Because I think we're changing people's expectations within the company. You know, we're doing all these cool things and they're going, wow, you know, and we have to kind of ask ourselves as management, are we going to be able to effectively run our businesses and cater to all these different needs and this new expectation of the new norm? You know, that's something for all of us to think about, you know.
I know we talk so much about the new norm and what continues, right? It's really a lot to consider. This is a good one because I think it goes along with the theme we're discussing now. And so, to take care of everyone at home, you must take care of yourself. Might you share one thing you do to recharge your own batteries so you can keep going as a leader of your companies and your community?
Yeah. I guess I'll start first.
Mm-hmm.
So to just tell you a little bit about myself. So I have one grown daughter, and I will tell you my family means everything to me. And probably I would say they're kind of my outlet, and they kind of help me recharge my batteries, because I get home really late, very tired. And they understand that. And they're just so very supportive. My daughter works really hard to get me to go walking with her late at night in our neighborhood. I think it's legal. But we go walking and we talk, and that's kind of how I stay plugged into her. But I find it really relaxing, because it's not about me and my day, it's about her and her day. And by the way, you know, kudos to her, because she's a frontline worker and she has been working the COVID line, and she's scared sometimes, you know. So we talk about those things, and I'm just really proud of her. But that makes me feel good, you know. It just makes me feel good. Kind of keeps me going every day.
Exercise and children, good stuff. Shelley, what about you?
So that's actually same for me, but I'll go in a different direction since we talked about that. I try and get outside, and you know, the ocean is really cleansing for me, and is a refresh, but it's a little harder to make that happen. So I at least try and get outdoors, even if it's just in my yard, because that recharges me. And then I also listen to Headspace. It's a meditating app. I listen to Headspace at night and in the morning.
Oh, looks like we just lost Shelley's video. Can you see it, Michelle? Or no?
No,
Okay. Well, I have a question specifically for you, Michelle. So,
Okay.
you know, thank you. The comment is, thank you so much for sharing your perspective on the inner workings with Governor, as the media does portray him in a negative light. And with with that, do either of you really have any advice for the media on how to help create more accurate representation of how the state is dealing with the pandemic to create less stress amongst the community? And maybe it's through storytelling or efforts to correct the media.
Yeah, I will tell you, it's a bit of a problem, you know, and I don't know if there are any easy answers. I know we look to the great marketing minds or the great PR minds to help us with this. We have a lot of the business folks suggesting that we do more campaigns around trying to help people understand what's going on. But it's very difficult. I feel for not only the governor, but for the mayor right now. The mayor is under tremendous stress because he's going to have to reopen our economy again, you know, or just reopen us after this complete shutdown. And everybody's not going to be happy, you know, and I'm sure he's going to be painted in a very negative light with no matter what he does, because he's not going to make everybody happy. So, I mean, it's a tough time, I think, for our government leaders, and I do want to give them props. It's a tough job right now. There's no easy answers, and the media is a tough one, you know. I mean, we need them because, you know, they provide that balance, I suppose, and making sure that we're being honest and fair, and that the community knows those things. But at the same time, you don't always get an accurate representation of what's going on, you know, under the surface, because those things are not always easily shared at the time.
Shelley, welcome. I hope we didn't lose you for too long. The question was really just around advice for, you know, for all of us on how we could better inform, get a more accurate representation of what's going on from the media, and is it through storytelling? And so I don't know if you have any thoughts.
This is related to government, what government is doing.
Yeah, just that right now it was because Michelle had shared a bit more about some of the inner workings and how hard people are, and I'm sure from on the utility side, you guys are deal with quite a bit as well. Like how do you better inform, you know?
Yeah. I think that, you know, what we talked about earlier of being transparent to the extent you can and communicating often, even if you think it's too often, is always helpful. Communicating the framework in which decisions are made, I think, is helpful, because the dynamics and the outside factors will continuously change. But if people understand the decision-making framework, I think it gives them a little bit more confidence in how things are working. But as Michelle said, you're not going to make everybody happy. There's no way that that's going to happen. And when you make a decision that you believe is best for the most people, and you've weighed all the trade-offs, not everybody is going to fully appreciate the decisions you made on those trade-offs. And so the voices you're going to hear in the media are those that aren't happy. And we all have to recognize that when we read the media.
Yeah. What's been a little bit interesting, like even with the governor's office, so this was early on, so the business roundtable, we've been having to deal a lot with the governor's office, because a lot of the big decisions, especially around visitors, has been tossed around, and there wasn't very much communication at first, so there was a lot of unhappiness, I think, with the business sector with the governor on that particular area. But what we found out was there was this huge communication breakdown, because the governor, I will tell you, is very transparent and open. And so he started to do briefings directly with our group to let us know. And he wasn't afraid to tell us things that he knew we didn't want to hear. But I thought that was really great. So, you know, to Shelley's point, I mean, transparency is good. It doesn't always work in the media, you know, because I can imagine if he was as transparent and forthright in some of the things he was thinking about, they would never get to fruition, because people would be trying to squish it, you know, before it ever got out of the the finish, to the finish line, or got out of the starting gate. So anyway, that's been, for me, by the way, just an incredible learning experience, because when you sit in your own company, it's just so much easier to control communication and how people perceive you. But when you're talking about our government, a lot different, because you've got so many constituents with so many varied opinions. So lot tougher. And you don't want good ideas to die. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Okay, you don't want good ideas to die before they've got time to get out of the starting gate.
That's why we're recording this session, to ensure that everyone can go back, because there were so many good ideas that we need to make sure. But we've reached the end of our hour chatting away, as we all often do. But I want to extend my sincere gratitude to both you, Michelle, and to Shelley. I think what you shared today had so much wisdom for us as we go back out for the rest of this week and forward, as we're coming through into this new normal, to really reflect on what it means to lead where you are, to have empathy, and to really hold strong to your why and doing what's right. And you both have the epitome of wisdom. So thank you. And I'm going to kick it over to Brittany, and everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all again soon. So thank you.
Caroline, for being a wonderful moderator. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Right, and we again would like to thank Michelle and Shelley so much, and Caroline, for the great job and sharing, their knowledge with us, as well as their time to share, what it is that they're doing, and really sharing their stories. I don't know about all of you, but that is the best way for me about how I learn, is hearing from what everyone else is doing and how they're doing it, and all of those nitty-gritty details. But again, we would like to thank all of you for joining us. We would really like to, again, thank all of our VIPs, Central Pacific Bank, First Hawaiian Bank, Hawaiian Electric, as well as Hawaiian Telecom as well, too, for joining us. Remember to join us for our next event. So please be sure to check out our website at www.mcblhawaii.org. There you'll find more information about our next Mink Wahine Leadership Series event. So it actually is going to be our last event for the year. And right now, because of everything going on, we are thinking that we'll probably have to hold this online via Zoom. Hopefully by the holidays, we may be able to come safely together, but we hope that you'll all be able to join us. So please be sure to check that out. But again, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.